Hey guys, this is going to be like a part two of yesterday's March 2nd. March 1st, I got to walk with Patrick to OMSI, Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, for a science pub, and his family was there. It was a wonderful talk, but really, what's going on with octane and all these other things, right? So this is a namespace. Belongs to Frank Zubik. We can call it, or Zubek. So it's Zubek namespace. And so there's invented things like, or names like solid kite and double corner. Double corner, to make a connection, is the ortho scheme, which means two consecutive right angles. As you're driving along a zigzag, and there's two zigzags that make a tetrahedron, you get to turn, when I say right, you get to turn 90 degrees, a right angle, right? Not right or left, it doesn't matter. You just turn 90 degrees, right turn, left turn, whatever. It will matter. I mean, you got to do the, you get to make two turns of 90 degrees. And then the other zigzag kind of fills in the blanks, and you've got your tetrahedron. That's the ortho scheme. There's left and right versions, and Frank is calling those double corner. Now the octane is closer to where I came yesterday in that I have an octane with a quarter tetrahedron on its back. It's kind of a humpback octane. It's an octane, but it has a quarter tetrahedron. What do I mean by that? Here's a tetrahedron made entirely of A modules, right? These are made out of paper. Sometimes if I'm teaching kids, I just pass out what's called the plane nets, and they can fold them either towards them or away to get left or right. We talk about that. You can start adding surds. Surd means the square root symbol, right? Like for me, it looks like this. For you, I guess it looks like that. That's what I mean by surd. And when we start bringing back the number phi or phi, I say phi. Some people even say tau. You can simplify some of these surdish expressions. That's another topic that we're taking up. Me and Casey House talked about that a bit. So back to the jargon that Frank's using. It's different from mine, and I think I made a mistake, like I say, calling what I made yesterday out of six mites a solid kite. It's not a solid kite. It's something else. Now this website is by a guy whose nickname is Hop. He's an artist. He's very appreciative of Hop David. He's very appreciative of Frank's stuff. So there's the address. You know, if you want to buy, if you want to, I would say collect and curate because they're handmade, right? So if you want a handmade collector set of Zubek's elusive cube, you'd be one of the few to have one. It'd probably be growing value. And then you would understand better all our arguments here, right? Because if you look underneath my YouTubes, he's really getting to make his points, right? Lots of discussion. And it's all back and forth in terms of these shapes and their names. So you get a collision of namespaces sometimes, like around coupler. So for me, let's get back to it. The coupler is a relatively simple shape to make with just mites. And mites aren't important. He doesn't have a mite, Frank. There's nothing quite mighty in his thing. There's no A's or B's. Or T's or E's. These are the Bucky things. These are the synergetics things. Which Frank has a problem with, I'm thinking. Anyway, there's the coupler. So that's what we call the coupler. And it's just made of 8 mites. But Frank says the real coupler, because there's a mistake in synergetics. Let me show you this. And then we'll take it apart and show kind of where it comes from yesterday, right? So this is going to be hard not to fumble it. It looks like an Egyptian pyramid, right? This is really pretty big and pretty heavy. And this is only half of it. So I'm going to flip it over and hold it like this. So I'll hold it sideways. And I have another one just like it. I'm sliding on top. Oh! So it already fell apart. So I'm gonna have to pause the tape and we'll try this again. Okay, so I had to take that one to the shop and fix it. Here we're gonna try it again. So this is what Frank says is the real coupler. It's much bigger and heavier. And let's see how we can get to it. We can take these half couplers off some of the diamonds of the rhombic dodecahedron. In other words, concealed within this. This is not a regular not a regular octahedron, by the way. It's what we call oblate. It's a little bit squished. Okay? And what I'm going to do is rip off some of the tips, which are half couplers that I added to the dodecahedron, the rhombic dodecahedron. So I'm taking off. Let's see how many. I think I'm taking off 4 times 6 would be 24. No, 4. Hey. So that I'm just about down to 48 mites. I'm just removing 16 mites for a total of 64 mites. Okay, 64 mites, and I just took away 16 of them. Look like this, right? I just took those off. So now I'm down to a dodecahedron. And this we can dissect by, well, you can sort of see there's a quarter tetrahedron. Like by quarter tetrahedron, let's go back to this shape. There's a point right at the center of it, right? Just imagine internally to this, it has a floating point called the center. And we can define it unambiguously. And there's a slope down from that center to each of the corners and to the mid edges. Basically, you can slice it up into 24 slices, 12 left, 12 right, and those are called A modules, each one of those in Synergetics namespace. And this we would call a one frequency. It doesn't matter how big I make it in terms of cardboard or metal, could be the size of an Empire State Building. We think of 4 spheres, unit radius spheres, as defining it, right? They touch each other, right? And that makes our starting place. You have to start somewhere. And you can always imagine going in, zooming in more, or zooming out more. So it's arbitrary where you start. What you say is home base could be this size, it could be this size. Because size doesn't matter, it's relative size is what matters. We call that angle versus frequency, shape versus all the physical dimensions that come into play. So Quadra's Kopp, the same guy who really likes Zubik's elusive cube and who describes each of its pieces here, octane, solid kite, whatever, he also likes Quadra's, which is a project a lot of us have been working on. This is more of a conceptualization of a spaceship that has 4 pods, or has 4. It's a quad pod, and it can shoot mass or momentum, like it shines a bright light. If you think, can you propel a ship just with photons? Actually, that's a deep subject, isn't it? But yes, say you can. So those are like flashlights that make this thing slightly change its direction. And you only need 4 of them to do the same motions that we do in XYZ. It's like you can get around in space in this way. It's in a way more, there's his name, Hop David, and if I click on it, we'll go to his site. So that he's an artist, right? So we have, in the space of design science, we have art science. and we have galleries, and we have really talented people. So just exciting culture to be getting in. Might be a little neo-Roman. Some people say it's imperialist. Um, Good things to talk about. I'll have this map at the ready to discuss when you want. But right now, the topic is, well, I think let's just dissect this rhombic dodecahedron back down to mites, and that's, good review. Think of you needing to teach this. Think of you on the spot. Think of you, oh, I'm glad I watched those videos that time, okay? So I'm going to go back to the quarter tetrahedron. That's what got me off on that, right? Got me off on that tangent there. And I just pulled out the things I built yesterday, right? One of those. And I don't have a specific name for it. I thought solid kite was going to work. I thought that was going to be my bridge to the elusive cube, but I didn't get that quite right. The solid kite is something else. So I'm now dissecting kind of below your eye level, but I'm pulling off I'm pulling off these wedges, you could call them, but they're let's just dissect one of these. You get the idea. I was just about to let's see, there's 8 of them, right? Because it's their octane that forms the inside, and then the quarter tetrahedrons form the outside. So there's got to be 8 of them, and these help finish the thing and make it a rhombic dodecahedron. Volume 4, rhombic dodecahedron. Volume 6, unit radius ball is what they embrace. So this is obviously bigger. A rhombic dodecahedron this size doesn't quite embrace this, although it was pretty big, right, before I took it apart. So you have to adjust, So now I'm going to break it apart. I have like 3 flower petals for this thing, whatever it's called. Not a solid kite. I take that back. And each petal, voila, 2 mites. Now these are different colors, but they're the same. So I'm running out of disk space here. I better do some moving to memory stick. I'm going to stop it now, and that was part 2.